This upcoming weekend was expected to be a phenomenal weekend and one for the ages because we expected rain. We expected Mercedes to bring about a whole new B spec car. Many other teams bringing major upgrades. But though, with the treacherous rainfall that's occurring right now, Formula One and its local advisors in Imola had no option but to cancel the Grand Prix. But though, I'm here today to put a little bit of a void in your weekend and give y'all a little bit of a prediction here on the 2024 driver lineup for all 10 teams. There's going to be 20 drivers for 10 teams, two per team. And there's many people that have already posted theirs on YouTube. But the thing is, those videos go on and on and on and on. And I'm just going to keep it here short and simple. So on to the intro we go.
I'm Chase Briscoe, driver number 14 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing, and you're watching William Blackwell on YouTube.
Starting off here with Red Bull, it is pretty simple that they're going to keep Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez for at least one more year together. Verstappen is going to be there until he wants to retire. Perez, though, no matter how well he does, he's still going to be on the cusp of getting cut from that seat. No matter how good or bad he's doing, he's always going to be on the cusp. Because Dr. Helmut Marko, I don't know what his deal is with number two drivers against Verstappen. He despises them. So Perez there for at least one more year. Mercedes, though, there's some people saying Hamilton may go elsewhere, but I think he's about to sign a major deal for Mercedes. He's going to be there for many years to come. And George Russell, I know he's on a contract year, and Mercedes are not producing the best car and giving Russell the chance and capability of going out there to win a Grand Prix week in and week out. We saw what happened in Brazil a year ago where Russell won the race over clearly a better Red Bull. And that was a big telltale moment that Russell is here to stay. But if he feels like Mercedes cannot bring him a big car or a good competing car by the end of this year, he may go elsewhere. But I'd like to say, though, that the chances of that are pretty much slim to none. But Hamilton and Russell in Mercedes. Alpine, though, this is where it's going to get spicy because, though, I believe Otmar Szafnauer is going to be dismissed from the team. And going behind him is going to be Esteban Ocon. Ocon is not doing so well. He got a long-term deal back in 2021 when the team was in a complete dumpster fire. And that was a pretty much of a amateur decision. They kind of rushed it and didn't think things through. And they got to have to pay him out pretty big. But I think they're going to move on from him because they got Pierre Gasly, who is a good driver, but he's not capable of being a number one driver for a top Formula One team. And that's why I believe they will bring in Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is going to be on the hot seat for the rest of this year because if Charles Leclerc keeps on doing well, I believe Sainz is going to be looking at other options because Fred Vasseur does not play around with drivers underperforming. And I believe Carlos Sainz going to Alpine is pretty much a slam dunk at this point in time, because the rumors are building day in and day out about Sainz going to Alpine because Alpine loves Carlos Sainz. Ferrari, though, this is where I think it's going to get real spicy because you got Charles Leclerc returning. He's going to be there until he wants to retire. Simple as that. And Valtteri Bottas. And what's interesting here about Valtteri Bottas, a lot of people may say, hey, he's sucking it right now, Alfa Romeo. But hear me out. Alfa Romeo is pretty much one of the worst cars, if not the worst car on the Formula One grid. And he's outperforming Zhou Guanyu on a weekly basis. And he does have ties with Fred Vasseur. That was the main reason why he chose Alfa Romeo over like Williams F1 and AlphaTauri. Those were the two teams that also offered him a ride for 2022 season after he left Mercedes. So he may go reunite with Fred Vasseur at least one more time. All right, here at Aston Martin, we got Alonso and Stroll. The reason why it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on is if Stroll keeps on underperforming to Alonso, Lawrence may take a executive decision, and what I mean by that is he has high hopes and aspirations for his son Lance, and he believes Lance can get the job done. And he may think to a certain extent Lance needs to take a break. He needs to take a 1-year break, maybe let Felipe Drugovich get in the seat and see what he can do, and reevaluate it in 12 months' time. I believe he may think that because Lance is not doing too hot right now. He may need a little break to get away from Formula One to get his mind right. So that may be something to keep an eye on, but that's a pretty slim chance that'll happen. I'm just throwing out that kind of scenario, but that is something to keep an eye on. Williams, I believe Logan Sargent, how crazy it sounds, I'm really impressed with the way he's handled himself this year. He did not do so hot in Formula 2, but he came into Formula 1 with a bad Williams car, and I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I know the media is going to hate on him because he's an American driver, and they got a British bias, and you can obviously see it with there's too many races in the United States. You got Miami, Las Vegas, not Las Vegas, and then you got Austin, Texas. If you think about it, the United States over Europe, there should ought to be more than 3 races in the United States. Simple as that. But there you go. Logan Sargent staying there, and I believe Toto Wolff is going to have a close conversation with James Vowles over the next couple of months, and it's going to be about getting Mick Schumacher in a Williams next year because he expects Hamilton to be in a Mercedes moving forward, and he's going to want to do something with Mick Schumacher similar to what he did with Esteban Ocon many years ago after he got moved on from Force India at the time. He went to Mercedes and had a chance to replace Bottas for 2020, but ultimately he went to Renault, and which rebranded to Alpine, and that's where he's at today. So I think Schumacher goes to Williams, which I believe will be the only option for Ocon if he were to get the boot. And saying that, I don't think he's going to get a ride at all in 2024. Haas, Kevin Magnussen, Nico Hulkenberg. It's not broken, so don't fix it. I believe them drivers right there are capable of having great results. They got to be a little bit more consistent in qualifying. They got the race pace, in my opinion, a little bit more consistent in qualifying, because we saw in Miami where Magnussen, he obviously qualified in the spot where he shouldn't have been, in 4th place, and we saw him race in 10th place. But I'm saying, no, if him and Hulkenberg can average a top 10 starting position, they're going to be right there in the mix. And there's going to always be at least 1 or 2 safety cars or cars that get taken out the race. So Nico Hulkenberg just had a bad starting spot. If he had a better one, they could have had double points for Haas in Miami, but there you go there. Magnussen and Hulkenberg staying with Haas in 2024. AlphaTauri, Yuki Tsunoda is coming back for another year, and Liam Lawson, I expect him to be in this AlphaTauri by the end of 2023 because Nick DeVries needs to stick to Formula 1 2022, soon to be 23 video game. Formula 1's not for him. Sauber, because Alfa Romeo is leaving. You got Lando Norris going over there. He's going to go to Andreas Seidel and work with him very closely because in 2026, new regulations, and Audi joins the sport. And Lando Norris is wanting to be there when it happens. And his teammate, for the time being, is going to be Zhou Guanyu. I believe Sauber is very, I don't know, they got a tight relationship with Zhou Guanyu. At first, when they made the announcement in 2021 that Zhou was going to race in 22, it seemed like the fans were very against it. And Sauber, I don't know, it was like an odd situation. They finally get the ball rolling in Bahrain the following season where Zhou did very well. And I don't know, it seems like their relationship has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. Do they have plans for Zhou moving forward beyond 2023 and 24? Time will tell, because he wasn't no spectacular driver in Formula 2. But though they may view him as a top driver in the series for years to come. I don't know. But there you go there. There were some shock decisions. Carlos Sainz and Alpine. Valtteri Bottas going to Ferrari, which could have happened actually a couple years ago, but it didn't. and Albon going to McLaren, Mick Schumacher in a Williams, Lawson in an AlphaTauri, Norris in a Sauber. What do y'all think about my predictions? Comment down below. Who's your official lineup? I'm curious to read them. But everybody, though, have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.